Okay, here we are for our last little bit on the forecasting of sales. Um, what we want to do at this point is to download new sales data for the last two periods through the CompuStat database on Words. Under the project overviews on our class website, you'll see the Words login information. So here I am logged into our Words database. What I want to do is get down to my CompuStat. And we're looking for the North American database and annual fundamentals that are annual sales, obviously. And then we have data through 2011, so we want 2012, 2013. So our date here is going to be January of 2012, and we'll just leave this one at the 2014. There's possible, for some of your stocks, depending on their fiscal year, there may actually be data for 2014. And then my company again is UTX. It's sales data, so we don't need our identifying information or the company descriptors or balance sheet information. What we're looking for is our income statement, and then we want our sales. Sales, turnover, net. And also, if you're curious about any of these other ones, you can just hit the question mark and you'll get a description of what the variable is, how it's calculated, and so on and so forth. Alright, so we're just going to check the sales data, and we're good to go at that point. I want to go ahead and download an Excel spreadsheet. We submit the query. At this point, we got to wait a few seconds for it to actually get put together. Alright, so here's the file. I'm just going to click on it and go ahead and open. So here's my UTX. Sales is in US dollars. And these are the actual sales numbers. So I'm just going to copy these guys over. Control C to copy. And I'm going to come back to my forecast model. And I'm going to paste them down here for 2012. That's Control V. And 2013. So these are forecast values. These are actual values. So I can now actually look at what my error, out of sample error, is. So I under forecast, I over forecast. That's actually somewhat of a good indication. Remember, we want our error terms to be up and down, up and down. We don't want our error terms to be trending as they are in this one. And what you'll do is for each one of your models, the quadratic model, you'll notice my forecast was 67 billion, 71 billion. So here my errors are definitely increasing significantly. Right, so even though my linear regression has a larger standard error, meaning it's not as good a model as the quadratic, which has a smaller standard error, the linear model is forecasting better. So my linear model is actually doing what I want it to do in a better manner. And you can see we're at 9. We're consistently low here. If you look at your plot we're probably kicking out on a line, linear growth here, and the quadratic is getting caught up because of the change in slope, which we've talked about on our dummies. And then of course I can come down to my dummies here. We can Control V to paste. Sorry, yeah. Let's get my sales down. Control C. Come down. This is with 2 changes of slope. Control V. So these are the actual values. I'm going to assume that there's no currency crisis, right? Alright, so this should be basically just a linear model associated with it. And then we're going to have our log values associated. And then again, our error values are going to come down here. So in my log model, apparently I tend to be over forecasting my log forecast, my log model with my dummy variables are forecasting consistently over. So, you know, the interpretation here, because there's only 2 data points, is a little more difficult. If we had multiple data points, we could use some statistics, but with only 2, we can't truly evaluate which one is better and which one is worse, other than from an optical statistics standpoint. So, you know, these estimates are not too bad. 0.19, remember my 0.07 error represents around $5 billion error in SARE forecast. So overall, looking at how well it did out of sample, I would have to say that the best forecasting is coming from my linear model. Even though it has higher standard error than some of the other ones. So if it were to come back to the linear model and added in a few additional change the slope variables and control variables, we may have been able to actually improve it some more. Now that doesn't mean it's going to be the same for you, but that's the basic process: how to download the data, how to put it in, and then how to evaluate it. It would be better to be a little high, a little low, meaning that my forecast is going through the middle as opposed to consistently high or consistently low. Thank you very much.